whether the team is performing clean or unsightly. We'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So the Washington football team drops their season opener to the Los Angeles Chargers 20-16 to fall to 0-1 on the season. It's a tough, bitter pill to swallow when, despite being dominated in the game, really in all facets, you have a chance to win, and really it comes down to you making a stop, maybe one or two stops. You get to a third down and force the Chargers into a tough spot. Maybe they go for it on fourth down. Maybe they kick the field goal to tie the game up at 16. You can't get the stop there. Sudden change of possession. Yep, fumble by Antonio Gibson. All of those things ring true. But if you're the defense, they don't care about that stuff. You know, as fans, we care about that stuff. They know they've got a job to do, and their job is to come on the field and defend however many yards of grass that they have behind them. And they had 3 or 4 yards of grass behind them. And on the first 2 downs, they did an excellent job of defending that. Unfortunately for them, on the third down, they didn't. They targeted Benjamin St-Juste throughout the day, targeted him once again, one-on-one, and they got the matchup they wanted, took advantage, and you got to give them credit. The Chargers really executed well throughout the game, especially in the fourth quarter when it mattered most. When it was winning time, they out-executed the Washington football team. So we didn't get it done. And despite having every opportunity to do so, we didn't. And that's the part that's probably the most frustrating. For as badly as we played, we lost by 4 points. And if you're looking for a silver lining, that's it. The Chargers are not a bad football team by any stretch of the imagination. They're probably right around the same boat as we are in terms of their development. They're in year 1 of a brand new program with Brandon Staley. We're in year 2 of a brand new turnaround with Ron Rivera. They've got a franchise quarterback. That's the only thing they have that we don't. But other than that, they're really similar in their approach. You know, really good defense, you know, and a young up-and-coming offense. They've got the quarterback, and that's probably the biggest difference in the outcome of the game. Their guy just didn't miss in the fourth quarter. When they had to have it, he delivered. So did Keenan Allen. And they made every single play that had to be made, and they ultimately win the game 20-16. Let's go through, however, my keys to the game and see how we fared. Because generally, with my keys to the game, if we don't hit the keys, it usually means we lose. And we hit a couple of them, but I don't think we hit enough of them. So let's go through them quickly, and then we'll move on. First things first, establish the run and be balanced. I actually thought they did a really good job of doing that. I thought that they understood the game plan, which was the Chargers are light up front. They're a fast, free-flowing defense, but you can run at the Los Angeles Chargers. They are not a stout defense. And you saw that. Gibby had holes. Gibby had a lot of good hits. I think he had one good hit for probably 20-some-odd yards. But outside of that, it was a steady diet of 4, 7, 5, 3, 2, 2, 8, 4, 4, 1, none, 8. And that's how he got to 20 carries, 90 yards. And he doesn't fumble. We have the lead. He's going to eclipse 100 yards in this game because we would not have had to take to the air and be more aggressive. We would have been playing with the lead or playing in a tie ball game with an opportunity, you know, to stay balanced and continue to do the things that had led to success offensively when we did have it, which was few and far between. So I thought they did establish the run. I thought they were very balanced, and that was one of the few things they did get accomplished offensively. Spread the wealth. This was probably my most disappointing aspect from the offense in week 1 is that it just seemed like we were out of sorts. You know, I don't know why it felt like they didn't have a real plan as to how they wanted to attack the Chargers. And, you know, Ron seemed like he was making some excuses like, oh, they didn't put their players on the field in the preseason. That made it tough. I really don't give a shit about any of that stuff. At the end of the day, more so for the defense not knowing where the offense was going to line up and all that. I get that. But offensively, you dictate to them what you want them to do, not the other way around. So I thought we did a horrible job of getting our playmakers involved. Terry didn't see a target until the second half. Logan Thomas was a non-factor until the second half of this game as well. I thought J.D. McKissick was invisible. You wouldn't have even known he played if you weren't paying attention close enough. These are all guys that were huge contributors and some of the best guys we had a season ago. I thought they went over the top in trying to get Antonio Gibson involved. Yeah, he's a hell of a playmaker, guy that we want to get the football to. But let's not forget about other guys that can help us in the pass game, in the run game, and things of that nature, trying to go out of our way to get the ball to Antonio Gibson. That said, they've got to do a better job of spreading the wealth. I think one catch for Adam Humphries, maybe 2 catches for Logan Thomas, maybe 2, 3 max. I don't think any of the other tight ends got involved, saw any targets. John Bates wouldn't have even known he played if I wasn't watching close enough. Same could be said for Ricky Seals-Jones. We got 1 target to Cam Sims. He only played 3 snaps, I believe. He, Dax Milne and DeAndre Carter, I think, only played 3 snaps apiece offensively, which I don't mind that. I told you I wanted them to keep the rotation pretty tight and short, and they pretty much did that. But nobody touched the football, really, other than Antonio Gibson. Like, that can't be the case. Antonio Gibson probably had, if I had to guess, probably had either the most or the second most catches on the team in week 1. And we know he had 20 carries. So we only had 40 some odd offensive snaps, like 48 offensive snaps. So if I'm telling you 20 of them were runs by Antonio Gibson, and then he probably had another 4 or 5 grabs, you're not spreading the football around enough. So I thought they did a really poor job of doing that. De'Ami Brown had a bunch of targets in the first half, but I didn't think they spread it around nearly enough. They have to do a better job of doing that if they want to beat the Giants in week number 2. Look for explosive plays, but move the sticks. We didn't get it done. I thought early on, Fitz took a shot to De'Ami Brown that led to a pass interference that set up the first scoring opportunity for Washington in the 2021 season, and they ended up settling for a field goal. You had the, moon ball from Taylor Heinicke. It was a terrible throw, honestly speaking. He knew he had the Chargers offside, so you could take that shot without any penalty, but you got to throw a better ball than that. But Terry makes arguably the best catch of week 1 to this point with that crazy catch down the sidelines for 37 yards. That said, we didn't take a lot of shots down the field. And I told you I wanted to really stretch the Chargers vertically, but it's hard to do that when you're not on the field. We were 3 of 10 on third downs. And I talked about, wanting to take shots, wanting explosive plays, but just make sure you move the sticks above all else. And that's what the Chargers did. The Chargers did what we did last year, which is a bunch of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 play drives, eating up clock, and just possessing the ball. If the other team's not on the field, it's hard for them to score points. And that's essentially what they did. They played keep away from us. And they did it as well as one can do it. They had 70 some odd snaps in the game, 78. I think we had 49 or something crazy like that. I mean, they were 14 of 19 on third downs. We were 3 of 10 on third down. I mean, that's a losing recipe. You're 30% on third downs. Meanwhile, they're 71% on third downs. It's a losing recipe any way you slice it. Okay, despite us winning the turnover battle, that is negated by the fact that the Chargers had nearly, 16 minutes more of time of possession, or 15 minutes more of time of possession, and the fact that they had a 70% clip on third downs with 19 attempts. It's one thing if they only had 7, third down attempts and they converted, 5 of them, and okay, 5 of 7. That's you don't want that, obviously, but it's only 7 attempts. Small sample size. They had 19 third downs and converted 14 of them. That's a losing recipe when on the flip side of that, you're 3 of 10 at 30%. You want to lose the football game. You're begging to lose the football game, and we did lose the football game. So I said I wanted explosive plays. We really didn't have many of those. But I said at a bare minimum, move the sticks. We didn't do that either. So we put ourselves in a tough spot, and the Chargers were able to take full advantage. And then finally, protect the Duke. That was a big, big thing for me. It's always a big thing every single week. It never changes. That's going to be one of the keys to the game, because if you don't protect the football in this league, you will find ways to lose. Well, we won the turnover battle. We forced 2. They forced 1. But the difference was Their 2 turnovers were down on our end of the field, whereas our 1 turnover was right there set up for a touchdown for them to take the lead and ultimately win the game. And that was the difference. Their 2 turnovers came as they were driving for points. The fumble out of the back of the end zone, which is very questionable at best. Don't think that was really a fumble, but I'll take it. I told you, I'm not turning down any gifts. The football gods evened the score, though. They said that probably wasn't really a fumble. Don't worry, we'll get it back. Well, I would have preferred it if they would have given the Chargers back the ball in a situation like how they gave it to us. We got it at the 20 and had to go 80 yards. They got it at the 3 and needed 3 yards to take the lead. Not the same thing, football gods, but I get it. I get it. At the end of the day, protect the football. How about no turnovers and we might win this game? Despite being dominated time of possession, despite being horrid on 3rd down defense, protect the Duke and we might come out of this thing with a 16-13 or a 19-16 victory. Instead, you fumble it, they get the go-ahead score, and you lose this game 20-16. Protect the Duke. We didn't do it. Not good enough. And I told you, I said this, we're going to turn it over once in the game. I knew we were going to turn it over. I didn't think the turnover would be that impactful, though. Not right there, gift wrap, here's a touchdown if you guys want it. Didn't think it was going to be that way, but it was. Defensively for Washington, make the Chargers offense one-dimensional. For the most part, they did that. For the most part, they did that. Not necessarily because the Chargers didn't want to run it. They just opted to go with the guy they trusted the most, and that was Justin Herbert. And he threw it 48 times and completed 31 passes. And on 3rd down, the money down, I think he was something like 10 of 14, on 3rd downs. He shredded us. So I don't know if it was necessarily because we were stopping the run, they went away from it as much as, hey, we trust 10 more than we trust anybody else on the team. So whatever the case may be, I'll take credit for it. I'll give the defense a check mark there. They don't get many on the afternoon. I'll give them a check mark there. Hit Herbert early and often. Keep contained. They failed to do this with any regularity. They didn't hit him early. They didn't hit him often. He was clean for the most part throughout the game. I can't think of many times that he even hit the ground. Maybe he tried to run once or twice up the middle and got down before contact was really made. I do know there were a couple times he got hit as he was throwing the football, but there weren't many times where he was at the end of a play picking himself up or, in pressure situations where he had to scramble, throw it out of bounds or try to find somebody late in the play. He was pretty comfortable in the pocket. I mean, they did a phenomenal job. I cannot wait to watch the film today to really see why it was that we couldn't get to Justin Herbert. Listening to Ron Rivera talk about what the Chargers did, mixing things up. He said, they had some max protects. They did a really good job of chipping on the way out. They did a number of things to try to really neutralize the pass rush, and it worked to perfection. And it also helps when you've got a first-round pick that's just rock solid on the left side of their offensive line in Rashawn Slater. So whatever the case may be, Herbert was pretty damn clean for much of the afternoon, and we failed to really rattle his cage. And that's why when the game was on the line, he was so damn confident, including a 3rd and 16 that really was gut-wrenching. Keep everything in front of us, nothing cheap, nothing deep. For the most part, the defense did that. I mean, the Chargers' game plan coming in was an obvious one. Let's get it out of Justin Herbert's hands quickly. We're not really looking to push the football vertically against this front. We don't want him holding on to it, even though he probably could have held on to it and guys would have gotten open because he wasn't pressured at all. But that was the game plan coming in. 3-step drop, get it out of his hands, back foot hits the ground, let him cut it loose. And luckily enough for Herbert, a lot of times when that back foot hit the ground, his tight end, Jared Cook, wide ass open. His receivers, whether it was tight coverage or not, he got it to them so that they could either make a play or, catch it in tight coverage. There were a couple of, tight window throws that he zinged it in there and his guys came down with it. For the most part, they were open, though. It felt like on the afternoon, for the most part, on every critical 3rd down, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, just get it to Keenan Allen, get it to Jared Cook. They're wide open with 3-4 yards of space before a defender's even in the picture. And it just felt like it was pitch and catch a lot of times on those third downs. So they kept everything in front of them, but the problem was that they couldn't get off the field on third downs, which that's what I asked for. I said, hey, make them earn it. If they go 13 plays, so be it. Well, they did that over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I didn't anticipate the defense giving up as many third down conversions as they did. So I got what I asked for. Keep everything in front of them. Nothing cheap, nothing deep. Make them earn it. Unfortunately, the Chargers did exactly that. They earned it. And then win the turnover battle and win special teams. I think half of that equation you give the defense a check mark to. They won the turnover battle. They forced 2 turnovers in some critical spots that gave us a chance to win this game. And unfortunately, the offense gave one back in a massive way. Our 1 turnover probably equals the Chargers 2, to be honest with you, because their 2 turnovers, the second of which, the William Jackson interception, we start that drive at our own 5 or 6, something like that. We're backed up pretty, deep. And you get the Gibby fumble. The fumble forced by Montez Sweat. Produced the touchback. So we started at our own 20. Whereas the 1 turnover we had, the Gibby fumble, they're starting inside our 10-yard line. Maybe even inside our 5. But definitely inside our 10. So it's not an equal apples to apples comparison. They were set up. Whether they gained another yard, they were going to tie the game on a field goal. And with a touchdown, they were going to take the lead, and they ultimately scored the game-winning touchdown on that possession. So, we still had to drive the length of the field if we wanted anything points-wise off of the turnovers. But that's not the defense's fault. They can only control what they can control, and they forced 2 turnovers. That's what we asked for. That's what we got. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. As far as special teams is concerned, win special teams, I actually thought we did a quality job on special teams. I thought DeAndre Carter was really solid on punt and kickoff returns. He looks to be explosive, and I think he's going to break one if he can, stay healthy and hold on to the rock. I think he could potentially make something happen on special teams. That said, Dustin Hopkins, 3 of 4, missed a pivotal field goal because you're winning the game at that point of the game. 16-13, you got all the momentum. The Chargers haven't scored since the second quarter. You got them right where you want them. You make that field goal. You hit the reset button on their offense and make them have to go the length of the field. Ultimately, the missed field goal didn't cost us any points necessarily because the Chargers drove it down, and then we got the interception. However, that because they started with such great field position and that turnover was so deep in our territory, that ensuing fumble led to them getting, great field position and scoring a game-winning touchdown. So we had a chance to go up by 6, 19-13, which would have really put pressure on the Chargers. And even if they score that touchdown, that same touchdown, if Gibby fumbles and they still score it, we're only down 1. All you need is a field goal. It changes everything, how you think. Rivera's not punting on 4th and 7 from the Chargers 40 if we're down 1. He knew we needed a touchdown, and so the going for it there didn't make a lot of sense when we haven't been converting 3rd and long all game long. We were 3 of 10, obviously. So 4th and 7 doesn't seem like something you really want to commit to. I didn't have a problem with the decision. I know a lot of you did, and that's fine. I told you I won't argue with anybody that had a problem with that because you could argue on both sides. I tend to go with the flow of the game. We were awful on 3rd downs. We were awful in 3rd and long, so I understood where Ron was coming from. But then on the flip side, you could easily say, well, the defense hasn't gotten off the field, and you give them prime field position at the 40 with a failed 4th down, they're going to march it down there and score. But guess what? If you punt it and they get, which we ended up having a penalty, so instead of them starting at the 8 or the 6, they started at the 16 or the 18, whatever it was, they're going to march it down there anyway. So what difference does it make? 40, 18, the only thing that's different is maybe you'll have a little bit more time to operate on the clock after the drive is done if you just let them have it at the 40. Again, you could look at it both ways. I just felt like, okay, here's the opportunity for the defense to step up on the 3rd down, get off. And they had the opportunity for 3rd and 16. They had the opportunity right there. Ron would have been vindicated if they get off the damn field on 3rd and 16. But they didn't. And I went back and watched that play 3 times. I can't wait to watch it on the All-22s. But I went back and watched the play. It's John Bostic. If there's a culprit on that play, it's John Bostic. There's no way. It looked like they were in cover 4. Again, I got to get to the film in order to be able to assess what they were truly in. It looked like cover 4. He's not supposed to get width. He's supposed to get depth. He got width and depth, and he was out of the picture. The middle of the field is not supposed to be vacated that way. He was supposed to get depth. He was supposed to be there. He wasn't. So, again, the bottom line is we missed a field goal. It was impactful. Anything over 50, I have zero confidence in Dustin Hopkins' ability to make it. Anything lower than 50, I think he's going to make the kick. I got confidence that 48, 49, 43, I got confidence he's going to bang it home. It's like this psychological, I got to kick it even harder, and that causes him to yank it when it's 50 plus. It's like, dude, your 48-yard field goals go through and would have been good from 57. Just kick it normal, which is what Ron Rivera said after the game. Just use your normal stroke. You don't need to do anything extra. Just kick it regular, and you will make the kick. You've got plenty of leg. But for some reason in his mind, oh, it's 51. It's 53. I got to put some extra juice into this. And then he yanks it all the time, or he pushes it. It was a big miss. It really was. So hard for me to give us the nod on special teams, despite him going 3 or 4. We're not even in the game if he doesn't make the first 3 kicks. But I needed him to be 4-4, not 3 or 4. So those are the keys to the game. At the end of the day, a day has passed. This loss doesn't feel any better. I've taken the glass half approach, glass half full approach. I'm a constant optimist. We played as poorly as a team could play on third downs. We had a ton of untimely penalties. We weren't good in the red zone. We settled for too many field goals. Everything that you are supposed to do to avoid losing games this way, we did the opposite. We put ourselves in a position to lose this game, and yet we lost by 4. If you're not encouraged by that alone, I can't help you. But had we lost this game 30-16 instead of 20-16, then there's no takeaway there. But we did everything wrong, and we lost by 4. And had chances to get off the field on the final possession offensively for the Chargers multiple times. And if you get it back to the offense, there's a chance still that we could win the game on a final drive. And the defense couldn't respond. So it's a tough way to go out. It's a bitter pill to swallow. But luckily, that's 1 of 17. We don't have a lot of time to really, wallow in pity. But as fans, we have this day. I gotta focus in on this game today. The players don't have the opportunity to do that. They had to practice today. They got to focus on the Giants. Quick turnaround. We're going to focus on the Chargers today. Tomorrow, we switch gears. We're done with the Chargers. We put them in the rearview mirror, and we're going to switch gears and start talking Giants football. Because we got to have this one on Thursday night. This is not optional. If we do not win this game, we have a problem. A major one. And I'm sick of losing to the Giants. You guys already know that. So we'll do that tomorrow, but let's get to in other news. And obviously there was some big news today. We were all awaiting the status of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And look, at the end of the day, I probably feel comfortable saying 75% of the fan base wanted to see Taylor Heinicke get in there and play anyway. So I told you I don't ever want to see a guy hurt. Our team, another team, I never show up wanting another guy to get hurt. That's not my MO. That's not how I operate and roll. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. There, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Washington, Raiders, Chiefs. It doesn't matter who the team is. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, let alone a player on our team. But a lot of us wanted to see Taylor Heinicke play, but we didn't want to see it like this, with an injury to Ryan Fitzpatrick. And so we were all awaiting the severity of the injury. How long would he be out for? And was this a season-ending injury? Well, he's been placed on IR. Right now, the prognosis is a sublux of his hip, which if you've been a Washington fan for a very long time, You go back to Clinton Portis back in like the maybe 8 or 9 season. Remember, he had a sublux of his shoulder that he sustained the injury in the preseason, making a tackle on an interception, and that brought up the whole conversation about should he have been playing, this, that, and the third, and why was he in the preseason, yada, 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 yada. So I remember when that happened, that was the first time I ever heard the term sublux, and essentially it's your joint popping in and out of the socket. So his hip popped out of the socket. It's not like your finger popping out of the socket where you just pop it back in and you go about your business. It's your hip, okay? Everything functions essentially off of your hip. So in terms of movement skills and functionality, so he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks to allow that to heal. That is the initial prognosis. Ron said with the media today that they're going to get a second opinion just to make sure that this is in fact what it is. But it sounds like he's going to be on the shelf for quite some time. I wouldn't expect Ryan Fitzpatrick back until maybe after the bye week, because our bye week is like smack dab in the middle of the season, like week 9 is our bye week. That would put that 6 to 8 week time frame right there at the bye week. So maybe week number 10 or 11. I don't know if we're week 9 bye or week 10 bye, but Tampa Bay is the first team off the bye week. That would be my guess as to when he would be eligible to come off of IR and be healthy enough to play. Now, the question is, how well are we playing and how well is Taylor Heinicke playing? Ron said at this time they're not looking to add any quarterbacks. I could have told you guys that, and I told you we weren't looking to add any quarterbacks. No Cam Newton. I'm not even bringing up the other guy that some of you, decided you wanted to throw into the conversation for what. I don't know why, but they did sign Shermer to the practice squad. So just to give them another body on the squad. I told you they would probably do that, go sniffing around, see if they could find some low-level, backup that they could throw on the practice squad and just know that there's another quarterback there in the event of an emergency. They could have a guy. So the hope is Heinicke stays healthy, plays well. Kyle Allen will back him up, and you just keep the party going with those two. And hope that they're able to hold it down until Fitzpatrick comes back. And my hope is that Taylor Heinicke in this period with no Fitzpatrick takes the reins of this quarterback position. And when Fitzpatrick is healthy enough to play, Ron's like, all right, you're going to be the backup, but we're going to continue to let Taylor roll because he's rolling right now. And I'd love to see Taylor take advantage of this opportunity. To be honest with you, this is the only opportunity he'll ever get to be the starter. If he can't figure it out now and seize this opportunity, there will be no next time because they'll draft a young guy. This is his opportunity to stop Washington from potentially drafting a quarterback in the first round next year. And I know some of you do not want to hear that. My guy JP doesn't want to hear that. That's fine. But I'm telling you, this is his opportunity to prove to the organization that you got the guy right here. I can do this. I can lead this team. Wherever we need to go, I can take us there. This is his chance to prove that. I don't know if he will or won't, but I'm dying to see. And we're going to get that opportunity now. A lot earlier than we thought. But I told you guys, I couldn't imagine Ryan Fitzpatrick playing 17 games. I just couldn't. And it's not because of injury, because he really, in his career, he hasn't been an injury-prone guy. But he's had, a couple of spills here and there. But for the most part, it's just because there's always a better option. And I said, something's going to happen. He won't play 17 games. Well, he got injured in week 1. So he's out. Heinicke is in. And this is his opportunity. Time for the legend of Taylor Heinicke to grow to epic proportions and to really allow this team to rally around him and hopefully galvanize the fan base and give us something to cheer about. This will be a big one for him. Thursday night, prime time, all eyes on the Washington football team and New York Giants, and all eyes for the second time in as many years on Taylor Heinicke making a start on national television. How will he fare the second time around? He fared really well against the Buccaneers. Can he follow that up with another virtuoso performance, this time in a win? We'll talk about that later on in the week. But I want to talk about the NFC East briefly before we move on and get out of here. The NFC East, 3 out of the 4 teams lost in week 1. Washington, Dallas, and New York all lost, okay, in week 1. The Eagles were the lone team in the division to win. They routed the Atlanta Falcons 32-6. Giants lose to the Broncos 27-14. Obviously, we lose 20-16 in Dallas on Thursday night to kick off the season. Lost to the Buccaneers 31-29. So everything that we want is still right there. You know, this division is going to be tough. We're going to beat up on each other, and we play a brutal schedule because the entire division plays the AFC West. And as you can see, we haven't gotten off to a great start against the AFC West, with the Giants losing to the Broncos and Washington losing to the Chargers. And those are maybe the lesser teams in the division, depending on who you ask. I think the Broncos are going to be really good. I think they have everything it takes to finish in second place in that division behind the Chiefs. But the Chargers may be that team that rises up this year. Who knows what the Raiders are? We're going to find out maybe a little bit more about them tonight as they take on the Ravens at home. But I said all of that to say this. This division is still right there for the taking. We're one game into the season. Some of you are already waving the white flag for what, I don't know. But I'm not going to address you guys. If you're waving the white flag now, that means you're a waffler. So if we win a game, then you're back on board and you're screaming that this team is awesome and Ron's playing and you're loving Taylor Heinicke, all that good jazz. You lose a game and it's the worst organization. Fire Scott Turner, get rid of Del Rio. Ron doesn't know what the hell he's doing. His coaching staff stinks. You're one of those people, which is fine. Okay, those people exist in every single fan base. So what I'm saying is, I've looked at the schedule. I've looked at schedules for other teams around the division. It's going to be tough for every single team in this division. If we can play as badly as we did in week 1 and have a chance against a quality opponent like the Los Angeles Chargers, I like our chances moving forward. But just know, we don't know what the schedule is going to be. We saw what the Saints did yesterday. I was looking at the Saints like food, and I wanted to eat in week 5. I don't know about that all of a sudden, okay? They look damn good against the Packers in week number 1. Now, again, that's week 1. We'll see. I thought the Falcons were a winnable game. Now I'm looking at, we better beat the Falcons. You say that. By the time we get there, they iron out some of the kinks of week 1. New coaching staff. They didn't play any of their players in the preseason. They look like a team that didn't play any of their players in the preseason. They stunk. But by the time we get to them week 4, they may be a much better team, understand a lot more of what the coaching staff is looking for. We may get a much more spirited Atlanta Falcons team. Who knows? At the end of the day, take them one at a time. We botched an opportunity to get off to a great 1-0 start. We got a quick turnaround, and we got an opportunity to even up our mark at 1-1, get a division win, which is imperative, and really start to maybe jumpstart the season going in the right direction. Quick turnaround. I love it. It doesn't allow us to dwell on this loss, and it's a bad taste in our mouths right now, man. It sucks. We got a chance to wipe the slate clean and get back to 500 on Thursday night. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. There was practice today. There was an injury report. We'll talk about that. Again, the players have to turn the page quickly and focus on the Giants. We don't. So today, we turn the page tomorrow, but today we focus on the Chargers game because that one was there for the taking. And tomorrow we'll start turning our attention to the Giants, what needs to be done to get a win there, talk about practice. I can just tell you this, Antonio Gibson showed up on the injury report with his shoulder. Remember, he did bang his shoulder up pretty good in the game. Left briefly, came back in afterwards. But at the end, and that was post-fumble for those of you. Maybe that's why he fumbled. No. That was after the fumble that he injured the shoulder. So we'll see what happens with him. More likely than not, he'll be fine, ready to go. And the Giants had quite a few people on their injury report, I think like 4 guys. Evan Ingram was the most noteworthy. He didn't play in week 1. He did not practice today. That's something to keep an eye on moving forward. But I like where we sit, and I like the opportunity that is in front of us Can we take advantage will be the biggest thing. So every team in the NFC East 0-1 with the exception of the Philadelphia Eagles, who looked really impressive against the Atlanta Falcons. They lead the division right now at 1-0. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Washington Football Nightly. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved burgundy and gold. Dressed in all black like the omen today. That will change tomorrow as we will turn this thing around quickly. Turn our attention to the New York Football Giants. We got to have it, man. I won it in the worst way, right after a long day. We got to have it. And I think we're going to get it. And we owe Daniel Jones. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy Monday Night Football. And I'll see you guys tomorrow as we start to turn our attention to the New York Giants. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And hit the like button, as that helps this channel grow immensely. Until next time, you guys, have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone.